to a couple of Gen Z's podcasts. Today I got my beautiful and wonderful girlfriend Avery here. And I'm actually this is gonna be an interesting topic. I don't know if it's gonna be more serious, it's gonna be a bunch of stories. I don't know what it's gonna look like. I never know what these are gonna look like, but by the power of the Holy Spirit and God and Jesus and all three of them, we get through this. So but today we're gonna be talking about basically high school experiences, how God's integrated into school, all the different challenges that come through high school, how you can kind of navigate through high school, how we've navigated through high school through being Christians, yada yada yada. Because let's be honest, there ain't a lot of God in high school.
No. Not at all. It's a very worldly place.
Yeah, there's not a lot of God in high school. But yeah. So I have a story. Let's see if I have a story. Okay, so high school is crazy, right? And
Yes.
so school in general has been crazy for me throughout my whole life, okay? We've done the calculations, and I've moved every 3 years that I've been in school. I was in school, listen to this. I was in school, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, moved. Third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, moved again. Sixth, seventh, eighth, moved again. Freshman, oh my gosh, freshman, sophomore, junior year. Freshman, sophomore, junior year, I moved. And then, now I'm on my senior year.
Yeah.
About to turn 18.
Huh? I'm the complete opposite, because I've been at the same school my entire life.
Yeah.
Kindergarten to 12th grade, man.
Yeah, so we have
the same school.
Yeah, so we have very two different outlooks on high school and school in general.
Yeah.
But me and Avery are about to turn 18. You in a week, less than a week.
Not even a week. On the 25th.
I know, which is today is what we're filming Monday, so 4 days. No, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5 days.
Yeah, 5 days.
In 5 days. I'll be turning, I guess,
26 days.
26 days. Turning 18, yes. 26 days.
Yeah.
We can vote!
Woo!
And get in the lottery and gamble and go to casinos.
No.
I don't know. I'm just saying a bunch of stuff. But, yeah, so I'm kind of excited for that. I would definitely say that we both have senioritis.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm just ready to get out of there. I'm just ready to just leave.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not. Because, I don't want to start grown-up world, but, at the same time, I'm tired of, being in high school.
Yeah, you, want to stay the age you're at, but not be in high school.
Yes. I want to do what I'm doing outside of school, just no high school. You know
just no school, let's just...
But I don't want to pay bills or anything.
Yeah, nah. Fun fact, I'm actually kind of looking forward to doing all that stuff. I'm not looking, super forward to it, but I'm, I like challenging myself, right? And I think all this stuff is gonna be super challenging and tolling on my body and mind, and
it's gonna be tolling on your body?
Yes. Paying taxes is gonna deteriorate my body.
It's a workout.
It's a workout. But anyways, I just don't think
back to high school.
I just don't. It's gonna be horrible. Okay, anyways, so high school. So high school, like we said, there's not a lot of God in high school, right?
Yeah.
And with not having God, what's the opposite of God? The devil, obviously. So there's a lot of what we learned about last podcast, secular stuff, and ungodly, earthly stuff in school. And you see it in every single school possible. So right now, I go to a Christian private school, right? You would think, tiny town, Christian private school, I'm in Southern Baptist, a belt of the world. Everybody down here is a Southern Baptist. You would think everybody's pretty good. Everybody loves Jesus. Everybody, it's worse than I went to public school, bro. It is worse. And it's crazy to me to see how it is worse. It's worse. Yeah. And, like, through every day, I'm just like, what is happening? I catch myself a lot, right? I'll shut up throughout the day, and I'll just sit back and I'm like, what is happening? And it's crazy because they'll just do it in class. No repercussions, no repercussions, no nothing. Teachers don't say anything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. When I was in public school.
I feel like personally in my school, I go to like a smaller public school, but I feel like it's not that bad. I mean, obviously there's bad kids, but there's also a lot of like Christians. Oh, there's a bird right outside my window. Obviously there's like a lot of like, there's bad kids and like kids that do bad things, but there's also a lot of Christians in my school. They're just really quiet about it because it's not like.
So what's something that you do throughout school that's great?
What do you mean? Oh, I have a Jesus Club.
Yeah, brag on yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I have a
Pop off, Queen.
And we have a small little group, but I feel like it's definitely showing people like the love of Jesus and like showing that you can be a Christian in public places. It doesn't just have to be at church.
Yep.
And especially at school, a lot of people are afraid, I feel like, to be loud about their religion because it's school and you're not supposed to teach religion to students. Like, you're not supposed to teach your beliefs to students. So a lot of students feel like they can't express theirs because it's wrong. And it's not at all, actually. We are actually able to. And you're allowed to have Jesus clubs and clubs that are like surrounded around God as long as they're student led and the school didn't make them. So if a student if a student wants to make it, then it's allowed. You just have to have an adult like advisor, basically.
Yeah. So that's literally, I think I'm just gonna answer it. So I was like, what is actually a Jesus club? I know there's a bunch of people that are watching and they're like, Jesus club. Bleh.
Oh yeah.
Is it like so I think a lot of people know like FCA, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's a lot like FCA, but it's not just for Christian athletes. It can be for like anyone, and it can be led by any student who's a Christian, and it's not just affiliated with like a church. Like, it's not just affiliated with my church. So me and my sister and my friends started a Jesus club, and we don't have any affiliation to our church except for the fact that they taught us how to do it. But we call it Jesus Club, and you can make it look like however you want. Like, it can be, if say you know how to sing and you want to just have like a worship service for like 30 minutes out of the day, or you don't know how to sing but you're really like good at Bible and like you just like understand the Bible. That's really what we do. Like, we get scripture, we talk about a topic, we have questions, we kind of have like a small discussion about whatever it is. So
what made you want to do a Jesus Club?
So we have FCA at my school, but no one really went to it, and it was boring. But it wasn't a fun place, and it wasn't like a bad place. It just wasn't, and it was at 7:30 in the morning, and I'm not gonna wake up and go to school at 7:30 in the morning. I'm not gonna get there earlier than I have to.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's find a time where people don't have to wake up early. They don't have to miss anything. They don't have to like anything like that. So we do it we have 2 lunch periods. We do it during the second period of lunch on Wednesday. And so no one has to miss anything besides lunch. We have snacks and stuff. So like, if you forget to go get lunch or you need food, we have it. So we just kind of wanted a place for people to be able to be around other Christians, or even new people who aren't like super strong in their faith. Yeah. Just like know that there are other Christians around, or people who aren't Christians. They just want to like be around good people. Yeah. Like, just not be surrounded by a bunch of negativity.
Yeah, I think it's so good to have that option out there within a school, right? It should just have that. Even if you aren't a Christian, right, or you know about Jesus just a little bit, and it's called a Jesus Club, and you're like, hey, come to the Jesus Club. Or you see a flyer, and you're like, I'm bored at lunch. Let's go do something.
Yeah.
Right? And you just pop in, and then, go ahead.
our biggest Jesus club that we had was for Christmas, and it wasn't just because people were like, I want to know Jesus, but they just wanted to be like around people who weren't constantly talking about like negativity. And like, so we had like, it was not a whole lot, but we had like 15 people.
Yeah.
And that was our biggest one. And it was just, all we did was watch The Grinch and eat some snacks.
Yeah.
But like, it was nice to just be around people who didn't talk about a bunch of negative stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just
and I think that kind of segues to like how school can be so stinking negative.
Oh yeah.
And how it literally deteriorates people.
Yes.
And sucks the purity out of people.
Yeah.
And it's such a negative place that, and it's so funny because it's actually supposed to be such a positive place for learning and getting your character and yada yada yada. And I think you do that all throughout school, right? But I think that you're in such this place where like there's so much negativity and bad that you go throughout school and you kind of get this character and you see other people do this thing and you kind of want to mimic it. So like that's how. So like I have a ton of stories like throughout middle school, like wearing shorts with long socks and like neon colors was like cool, right? And like I thought that was cool, and so I would want to do that, and I'd ask my mom to go buy me some shorts or whatever. So like, why are you laughing at me? It's supposed to be serious.
Can you just imagine little Mikey in like neon colors
this
and
is
like
supposed
tall
to be serious.
I'm sorry.
And like, you know, like little Mikey trying to learn how to tie his shoes. Listen, crazy story about learning how to tie my shoe. Sitting there in first grade, okay? Never learned how to tie my shoe. Sitting there in first grade, we were reading a book. We were sitting there on the mat. There was a little girl in front of me. Don't even remember her name. I just knew it was a girl. Started tying her shoe. I looked down. My shoe was untied. Copied exactly what I did. That's how I learned to tie my shoe. So, like, I think we see so many people within our life, and that's how we kind of get our character.
We kind of mimic others.
Literally about to say that. I was like, we mimic others. And, I think that's why there's so much negativity within school, because there's so much negativity, and the negative people are cool.
Yeah.
And it's very cliquey.
Yep.
There's a lot of cliques. It's almost like if you think of it like a social class, right? There's like people that don't really have money, like it's like money, right? There's like middle class, low class, and there's like high class, right? And it's like all these cool people that like have all the friends. They're like athletes, they're like cheerleaders, yada yada yada. Like it's so real. Like they're up at the top. Like they run the school basically.
Yeah.
And you have like these middle kids, and they're like in band, like they have friends, but they kind of just like do their own thing. And then you have like the low kids that they're like sitting in the corner, have their AirPods on, like AirPods in, hoodies on, not really talking to anybody. Like those are like the people that don't really have any friends, yada yada yada. Right? It's very like sectionalized, and especially in bigger schools, I think, like especially now with the Farmersville is like that. But
yeah, it's not really like that at my school. We're kind of just all like.
Well, I think when you go to a smaller school, it's kind of hard to do that because everyone knows everybody.
Because if you had like a high, like what you were saying, like higher, middle, lower class, like we only have 49 kids, 50 kids in my grade.
Yeah.
Like if it was separated like that, like there would be like 10 cool kids, like 25, 30 middle kids, and it was like 5. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, there's not enough people to separate like that.
Yeah, you have 50 kids in your class, like 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally have 12 kids in my class of 2023, like my senior class. It's crazy. But I even see to like here, it's like there's guys and girls, right? Like there's like you can tell who hangs out with who. There's a whole listen at lunch. Lunch is, if you want to see all the cliques that happen, go to a lunchroom. You will see how everybody's segregated, right? There's a senior girls table at our school. Senior girls table, an all guys table, right? Nobody at this other table. A couples table where all the couples sit. And then there's like kind of the outcast at another table, and then that's all it is, right? I call them the outcasts. Not really outcasts. They're just like, they're like the middle class people that don't really. I'd say the middle class. That sounds horrible. But like how I was sectionalizing them, it's like they just like kind of do their own thing.
Yeah.
Right? They're just like there to be there.
Yeah.
And like even you see that, but like obviously we go throughout school day. It's kind of hard not to talk to everybody because you're in a classroom full of like 8 people. Like
Yeah.
So like you can't just like not talk to people and like sit back, and then if someone's gonna talk to you, like you're not just gonna not say anything. But with that all being said, like it's just so negative, and like especially throughout middle school. Like middle school, I think is like the peak years where people try to figure out who they are and what they are.
See, that's not how it was for me. Like in middle school, I was still very I would say like innocent, and I didn't know a whole lot of stuff. Like I was very like I didn't try and figure out who I was. Like I kind of like lived in like the things that I believed and the things that I thought were just for my parents. Like I didn't really have that much influence from my friends. I mean I did, but like my friends were the same way. Like they were I just had a good group of girlfriends, and they were like we were all just very innocent. And then I got to high school, and that's when I really started being like, oh, there's a lot of negativity in the world. Like there's a lot of bad, and like it's like that's when my anxiety like really started, was in high school. And then because I thought that was just like normal, I guess, I don't know. And I like was just like around a lot of people who had anxiety and depression. And when you're like a freshman, they're like, oh, I have anxiety, and that's not like a thing to like joke about. It's like a very serious thing. And like I'm not saying that people who say that they have anxiety don't have anxiety, because everyone like copes with things differently. And I was definitely a person who was like, I have anxiety, and like I did, like I had panic attacks, like I had like it was bad. And I joked about it because I didn't know how to like express it. I guess you're not really taught how to express stuff like that.
And I think that's where all that negativity comes from, is like you sit that negativity and then you start learning things about yourself that you have, like anxiety, depression, yada yada yada. And again, that comes with things that have happened in your life, yes, but I also think it's an attack on the devil. And I'm gonna say this foremost is because just like anything negativity, I think is an attack on the devil. Anything negative, not negativity, anything negative is an attack on the devil. And so, like, especially with you, we've talked a lot about how, like, your anxiety has always been an attack on the devil, and, like, how if you didn't have anxiety, you'd literally be unstoppable.
I would. And I think it's because the devil knows that, like, if he puts those what ifs, like, what if this happens? Oh, this did happen. It's going to happen again. Or, oh, someone almost did this. It'll probably happen again. Like, constantly in my brain. And not just in, like, relationships, like, with friends, like, with parents, like, with adult people that I look up to. Like, I constantly think that people are, like, out to get me, and they're not. And it, like, I don't, like, right now I'm not thinking that. Like, right now I'm good. But, like, whenever I get, like, really anxious, it's, like, bad. Like, and then I say it out loud, and I'm like, yeah, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, this doesn't. But whenever I just keep it in my brain, and that's another thing that he does, is the devil makes you feel like you have to keep everything in your brain. Like, he doesn't want you to say it out loud. Because when you say it out loud, you're like, that's not true. Like, it's not
bringing it to truth.
Yeah, like you're making the what ifs in your head come, like, you're saying them out loud, and you're like, well, no, that's not true. That's not happening. Like, you're coming back to reality, and then that's when the devil's like, oh crap, I have to do it again. I have to attack you again.
Yeah, I think there's power in actually speaking out what you're going through. There's so many verses, I think. I don't really know.
My mommy's calling me.
Okay.
I'm just gonna tell her I'm doing a podcast. Just keep talking.
Okay. But there's so many, I got lost track. What was I saying? Sorry, guys.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm back.
What was I saying?
You were talking about, how, like, saying it into...
okay. So saying it out, right? I think there's a lot of things. Okay, so there's a verse. I don't know where I don't know. I'm still learning all these verses, trying to think, but I don't really know where it is. But I know there's a verse that says, like, whenever you give your life to Christ, right, you're supposed to publicly announce it, okay? And that's by either word of mouth, getting baptized, yada, yada, yada. It's supposed to publicly announce it, right? And I think there's such good with that, and I think there's such good with not publicly saying, like, coming out on your Instagram being like, I struggle with anxiety, but, like, saying it out in, like, a safe space. Like, say your mom is your safe space, or your boyfriend, or your girlfriend, or your friend, or your grandma, grandpa, whoever is your safe space, right? And I think that you openly talking about them and having a serious conversation, like having that person that you can go to, there's such a there's such a beautiness behind it of like speaking it out and being like, hey, I struggle with this, right? And
Because
you don't even have to seek for help. I think it, like if you realize, I think the first thing to fixing the problem that you have, it doesn't have to always be a problem, but like a negative thought
something you
or
struggle with.
whatever, a struggle,
Yeah.
a thing that you struggle with, right? If you speak it out, that's the first step. You
Hmm.
realizing that you struggle with this thing, okay?
Yeah.
And like that's where like all this temptation comes from. Is like you have temptation and you speak out on it. You're it's crazy because in your mind you know you have it, but when you speak it out, there's like a thing you're like, oh wait, I. It's like a realization. You're like, oh wait, I really struggle with this.
Yeah. My
And
phone keeps falling.
yeah, and yeah. I mean,
I
there's
I
just
think
go ahead.
I think especially when it comes to temptation, like, because in your brain you can convince yourself that something's okay.
Yeah.
You can always convince yourself of something,
Yeah.
and being like, oh, it's okay if I do that. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm just maybe hurting myself, and that
In your
doesn't.
brain.
Especially if you have anxiety, you're like, that doesn't really matter. Like, it's just
Yeah.
me. So then you like start to like cross boundaries that you had previously set for yourself, and you're like, well, no, it's okay, because and you like convince yourself that it's
Yeah.
okay. But whenever you say it out loud, you're like, this is actually not what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
Leave it out. This is not.
Yeah, and especially if you go to that person that you trust, right? And
Yeah.
maybe and obviously it says in the Bible you need to seek counsel. And I think that like, the people that obviously elders of a church, like pastor, yada yada yada, are like obviously your counsel. Or people that you
Yeah.
really trust that are older than you and that they've had some life experience and they have wisdom. And you
Yeah.
know you know that they have wisdom. And if you go
Yeah.
seek that and like be like, hey, I have a problem or I'm struggling with this, right?
Yeah.
And like not necessarily ask for help on how to fix it, but maybe you talk about it, be like, yeah, I have anxiety, and then this person that you seek counsel with is like is like, well, why do you think you have anxiety? Just like ask you questions about it. And then
Yeah.
I think some people work in a way that they'll kind of like work themselves out of it. They're like, oh, I can do this and this and this and this. Like I know that that's how I work, and I've been working on that for a while. Is that I know that's how I work through things. Is like I'll talk to Avery a lot, and I have like things I'm struggling with, and we'll like talk about it. She'll ask me questions about it, and I'll kind of like work it out when I'm talking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
Because like
this
I
is
can't.
this, and I can do this and this to help this and this.
Because if I give you advice, you're like, no.
Yeah,
And then you'll get back to what I just said, and like, yeah, I just told you that. But you have to like work it out in your own brain.
yeah,
I think that's what a lot of people have to do, and instead of like, see, I'm a person who likes advice. Like, I want you to be like, you can do this. I'm probably gonna tell you I can't do it, and then do it again. Like, do it anyways. Like, be like, you should talk to them, and me be like, not gonna do it. But then I end up doing it. You know what I mean? And
well,
I,
you're actually very strong in your faith also. So
yeah,
you also will take things into what people say and pray about it and then make a decision.
oh yeah,
Which I think is so like, but obviously you being like no is probably not the best thing to say. But even though I know when you say no, you still take it into
I still
consideration
think,
and then
yeah,
you think about it and pray about it, yada yada yada, and then you get an answer.
yeah.
You're really good at doing that, and that's something that I'm not really good at doing. Um, but
My phone is moving all over the place.
but yeah, like you said with boundaries, man, like boundaries are healthy. Let me say that first and foremost. Boundaries with people, your mother, your father, your grandma, your grandpa, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your pastor,
With friends, yeah,
friends. Boundaries are healthy, dude.
and yourself. It's
Yes,
okay to
and
set
yourself.
boundaries with yourself.
Yes. Boundaries are healthy.
Yeah,
And whoever tells you that boundaries aren't healthy, they're healthy. I'm telling you boundaries are healthy. And I know the reason why is because me and Avery's relationship was set on a boundary. From the first and foremost thing that we've done, if you haven't learned about this, I think it's in our first podcast or second podcast. It's probably in both of them. Go watch them. But we've set boundaries first and foremost, and we've learned how to really set boundaries within ourselves really well. Um, and with other people too. And it's not. Sometimes it can be hard. Like it's not always easy to set
and a lot of
boundaries.
people, when you're setting boundaries, don't want to hear it, because I was listening to a podcast and it says it's basically like setting a boundary means you have to sacrifice something, whether it's for a good thing. You still have to sacrifice something.
Mm.
or you're protecting yourself from something, like you're gonna have to sacrifice something that your body or brain wants or another person wants. Yeah. So when you're setting a boundary, it always comes with sacrifice, and people don't really love to sacrifice things because we're humans, and that's not exactly what we want to do all the time. So that's why typically I feel like boundaries can be hard, is because you have to let something go.
Yeah, or you kind of have to put up that wall within yourself, and you kind of have to put trust in yourself, and it's kind of hard when you don't trust yourself, but you kind of have to trust yourself to keep that boundary with the people.
Yeah.
Because most of the time the other person doesn't know you set that boundary with them.
Yeah. And that's my biggest thing, is like setting a boundary in my brain and being like, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to say this, or I'm going to do this instead of whatever it could be. It's hard for me to stick with that boundary because I'm a very big people pleaser sometimes. So when I know that someone's not pleased by my boundary, then I'm like, maybe I can like step over it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that's when I just like fully step over, and then I'm like, okay, well, you just broke the boundary that you just set for yourself.
And then you
like
end up getting hurt.
Yep.
And so like especially with high school, right? Kind of veering back to high school, right? Boundaries within high school and people that you talk to and what you talk about and what you try to listen to, you need to set boundaries within yourself. I've learned over the years, especially since being in high school, is that I needed to set boundaries with myself and what I do, what I talk about, what I listen to, everything that I physically see or enter my body. I need to set boundaries with it, right?
Yeah.
And I also need to set boundaries with what I portray, right? Character is a huge thing for me, and I've always been taught that your character is what shines through everything. And I really take pride in who I'm seen to be as. And like my character, of like the morally of the person who I am. And I really take pride in who I am and like my character of like, and I hate whenever I misrepresent myself.
Yeah.
And so I think how I try not to misrepresent myself is I set boundaries with what I listen to, what I talk like, what I look like, what I like, all the above of like everything that I do, and set my foot in, and what sports I play, and yada yada yada. And yeah, like you know, I'll say one of my boundaries that I do is like I've definitely set a boundary with what music I intake. I've stopped listening to rap music almost entirely. Non-Christian rap music. I still listen to Christian rap like Andy Mineo, Lecrae, goats, by the way. If you listen, let me put you on. If you wanna get right with God, right, and you think that rap is changing the way you think, it is. It's changing the way you think because you listen to it 24/7, and if you get some bed in your brain that, oh yeah, let's go get some hookers and get drunk and whatever, like, bro, telling you. You start thinking like that, and it's the music that you get into. But if you start listening to Lecrae and Andy Mineo and KB and all these like Christian rap artists, bro, they talk about some crazy stuff, and if you really listen to the lyrics, dude, it's like super spiritual.
Yeah.
But I also listen to country music, which probably country music isn't probably the best music to listen to, but I think it's better than rap. But I like country music. I'm sorry, country music is great. And love you, Luke Combs, and Zach Bryan, love y'all, and Tyler Childers, love y'all. But anyways, but I listen to a lot of worship. Like that's like probably my main too is like, like worship, and you know, and I listen to a ton of different things. Like I'm so hot, it's getting hot. I listen to a ton of different things. I listen to Elevation. I listen to Maverick City. I listen to that SEU worship. That one song, Monday Morning Faith, which is great, and I could talk to you for hours about this. But I listen to a lot of people, and I don't know if you watched our last podcast or our reel, but I kind of hinted at the Maverick City thing, and I'm gonna keep talking about it forever. There's revival happening right now, and college,
big
Asbury, and colleges all over, and people just like worshiping, 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 and I think it's so it's so funny. I saw this TikTok today, this morning when I woke up. It said The devil tried to get at people to worship the devil for 5 minutes at the Grammys. God did it 5 times greater because people are now worshiping for 5 days straight.
Yeah, they've been going since the 8th.
And it is
of
now
February.
the 20th.
Yeah.
12 days.
12 days.
Yeah.
And the thing is, so we were gathering before service yesterday, and our pastor was like, we started talking about the revival, and our pastor was like, it's the most boring worship session you've ever seen. He's like, hear me out. There's no bright lights. There's no great worship pastor. There's no loud, like, drums or anything. It's just people being in the Lord's presence and worshiping. And it's the most raw form of worship there is. Like, there's no stage. Like, there's no what you would consider a normal worship thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
So, like
non-denominational worship.
Like, it's very boring compared to what most people are used to. And he's like, and that's how you know it's true and it's pure and it's raw, and that's like, people aren't just there because there's a big famous person there. Like, they're not just there for the merch and like the fun lights and the loud music. Like, they're just there to be with the Lord. Like, they're just there to worship, and they're just there to like hear God and be around other believers. And like, a lot of people are like, it's fake, like it's not real. Like, people are like being like, what, this is a show. But like, if it was just show, there would be merch booths, there would be lights, there would be, like, you know what I mean? Like, there would be a lot of like show.
And I think they'd bring people in because it's so big that it's been on the news multiple times and shown into to the news to millions of people. And I think that there'd be all these people like, okay, so perfect example. Cody Carnes and Carrie Job went to this thing, right?
Yeah.
Did they sing? No. Did they go there and be the face of the entire thing? No. They sat in the service and left.
And they stood in the back. They didn't even stand in the front. Like, they were in like the back of the place, and they didn't try to lead anything. Like, they were just there with the Lord, and that's how you know that like it's not showy. Like, when people, like, when big faces of worship go a place and they're not on stage, like, that's how you know it's like true and it's pure and it's raw. And I'm not saying when they are on stage it's not, but like, they know.
I think it's the purest and rawest form of worship.
Yep.
Yeah. And I love it because it's a bunch of college kids doing it.
Bunch of young
The
kids.
Generation Z. And this is why we made this podcast, because I'm telling you, before all this happened, we literally made this podcast before all this happened, right? And I told Avery before this, I said the Generation Z, we have the power to do so much good. We have the most influence that any generation I think has ever had, because we have the most influence with the touch of a finger. At our fingertips, on our phone. We have so much knowledge about how to work all these things that we use this influence for good. Look how good it can be. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, the Asbury Revival, right? Us teenagers, us college students, us middle schoolers have so much influence, and I don't think all of us realize how much authority God has given over our generation.
I think there's a reason.
Yes. There's a reason.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize how much authority and influence that God has given our generation of people to go out and make disciples. That's what we're that's what we're on this earth to do.
Yeah. We were talking about this last night. We were like, we feel God coming soon. And like, we kind of sound like crazy Christians, and we're like, yeah, God's coming soon, blah blah blah. But like, I feel it, but I don't think he's coming.
He's not done yet.
In like the next 5 years, like I feel, I'm not gonna put a timeline on it, but like the way that he is using us, the way that he's using our generation, from how old are they? 12 now, to how old are
12 to 24, like, something like that.
Yeah, like, he's using that core group of people that are growing up from middle school to college right now so much, and like, he's not done using us yet. Like, he has put us here to do something in a different way than any other generation has, and I think that's why our generation does so many new things, and I feel like we get a lot of hate for it, but like, all the new stuff we're doing typically works, and it's just new and it's different, and people are like questionable about it, but when it starts working and they're like,
oh,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally understand what you mean, and I think it's so, and you don't see, like, you see so much, dude. Like, the one thing that I saw about, like, this guy giving his testimony, right?
Yeah.
He's a poor college student, has no money, can't find a job. God provides, bro. All
Yeah.
these people started throwing money at him. On like not, like legitly, he was
Yeah.
standing there telling his testimony about how he doesn't have a job. One person came up and put money at his feet. More people came for money on his feet. A whole crowd was just taking money out of their wallet and throwing it at his feet, dude. And he's sitting there crying, shaking. Because, dude, I'm telling you, in the end, if you have faith in God, God will provide for you. God will
Mm-hmm.
provide. And I'm
And
telling
not
you.
just faith. Not just faith, you have to have trust that he's going to. We were talking about this morning.
We
Like,
were.
you can have faith that God's going to do something. Like, yeah, I have faith that God will heal someone. But, like, if I don't trust that he's going to, like, if I don't put my complete trust in it, it's not going to happen. Because God's not. He says so much. Jesus says so much in Matthew, you have little faith.
Yeah.
And which can also be, like, you have little trust. You have little belief. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't have all of those things, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And, like, for example, when I think it was Peter, when he walked on the water, he started to doubt. He was like, he got scared and he started sinking.
Yeah.
And Jesus was like, you have little faith. Like, why don't you trust me?
Yeah.
Basically. And then he's, like, regained his trust and he got back up. So, like, it's the same way. Like, if we don't trust fully what God's doing, then we're going to start sinking.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That was good. I was gonna say something. You just said something good. It made me start thinking. Oh no, I was gonna say. Me and I've been talking about this a lot about how I struggle a lot with. I think I've figured out it's not faith in God; it's trust in God.
Yeah.
I have so much faith that He can do what He says He can do.
Yeah.
But I have a hard time trusting that He can actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think especially in this next season that me and Avery know we're about to go through, being adults and yada yada yada. I think that, huh?
I said, man.
But going through adults and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
I think that I have to learn by myself that I can trust God with where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
And that He has a plan for me, and that I know that He's gonna use me for good.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like trust, it takes a lot. Like trust is a hard thing to have with something that you can't even see.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part for me is that like I try to dig so much into the details, into the opinions of other people, and listen to every single thing, and almost kind of like not make him real in my mind. It's so weird.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like, this is gonna sound so weird to all you, and it makes probably no sense, but it makes sense in my mind. Is that like I know he's real because I know what he's done in my life, and in Avery's life, and her family's life, and my family's life. I've seen it through people. Like, like I've seen the joy that people will have through everything that they've gone through, right? And they'll come out of it being the happiest person that I've ever seen in my entire life, me included.
Mm-hmm.
Me going through what I've gone through in my life, and me seeing me now of what I'm doing, this podcast, the wisdom that God has put in my life to talk to people, and that me giving me a platform that I can talk to everybody in the entire web that wants to click on this video.
Yeah.
Like I would have never thought it would have happened, but it's literally only by God's power that this has happened. Only by God. I didn't just do this by myself, because by myself, I wouldn't have got out of the hole that I was in. Ever. I wouldn't have gotten out.
Yeah.
But after everything that happened in my life, I started going to church. I met Avery. Like, all these good, great, amazing things happened. I found a family within church. I found people that loved me. And, like, for really who I was. Because I wasn't living through somebody else. I wasn't living through somebody else to be my relationship with God. I finally found a relationship with God with just me and God, not me through somebody else with God.
Yeah.
And once you figure that out and you realize that you have that, bro, revelation starts happening, revival starts happening within your life, and you start finding things out about your life that you never thought were possible and that you never thought you could do. That's gonna come true.
Yeah.
And I just think with this like in high school, dude, like high school breaks you down, breaks you down, breaks you down, breaks you down, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's bad. Like high school sucks. Like
It
I can't,
sucks,
I
and it
can't.
sucks because it's something you have to do.
Yeah.
You have to go to high
Yeah.
school. Like you can't like not. I mean, unless you don't want a high school diploma.
Yeah.
But like, you have to.
Yeah.
And also, it's not just because the people there are bad, or it's not just because that like the education. Like, I don't think there's a bad person. I think people do bad things, but the way that our brains are growing and changing, and the hormones and everything that is going through your brain makes you want to do things that you in 5 years would have been like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
And it's just because of like the way that your brain is growing, and like the hormones that are going through your body, and like just the doubts
the way you
and
think.
the way that you think, and like your brain isn't fully developed. And like, I know I'm saying that and my brain's still not fully developed, but like, I'm probably still making decisions now that in 10 years I'm gonna be like, if you just wouldn't have done that, you wouldn't have gone through all of that. And
Yeah.
like, I can't tell you right now a decision like that.
Yeah.
But like, I know in 10 years I'm gonna be like, Avery, seriously? Like,
Yeah.
Or-
I know that there's someone watching, right? I know that there's someone watching out there that like they're thinking like, well, if I'm going through all the struggles and trials and everything that's going on, why would God allow me to do this, right?
Yeah.
God puts you in that place for a reason, right? And there's going to be something that comes out of it that it's going to be part of your testimony, okay?
Mhm.
It's going to be part of your testimony, and that you're going to tell people about your testimony, and you're supposed to use that trial and what you're going through as part of your testimony to help other people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and what you're going through does not define who you are.
No.
Doesn't make God a bad person. Doesn't make the devil over your body or your life or whatever. Like God's put you there for a reason, and He's gonna use that for a reason.
Yeah. Like, honestly, like right now, I'm in a situation where I feel really lonely, like all the time, and I'm constantly like, why, God? Like, why are you doing this to me? And I know that He's just teaching me that like I don't need anyone else but Him. Like, I don't need anyone else but Jesus. And I just feel like it's really easy for me to be like, well, God, why are you putting me through this? Like, why don't you want me to have friends? Like, why don't you want me to like just be around a bunch of people? And I honestly think it's because like He's teaching me something that I can use to teach other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like He's teaching me something that I can use to help other people.
Yeah.
And like, because everyone goes through a season of loneliness at some point in their life.
So I think the reason why is because when you're alone, right, especially with just Jesus, I think you learn the most.
Yeah.
And I think you gain wisdom that you wouldn't have before whenever you're alone.
Because when you're with people, you let the people around you affect you a lot. So if you're only surrounded by Jesus, then you're only letting Jesus affect you.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and
Jesus
like,
is...
just take it into where Jesus went alone into the wilderness for 40 days, right?
Yeah.
He got tempted and tempted and tempted and tempted and tempted. But, like, the wisdom that came out of that was immaculate.
Yeah.
Like, he found out what he was really doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's good in every single bad that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you're going through. And trust me, you're not the only person going through it.
Nope.
No. You're not just the only person going through it. There's someone out there that's going through the same thing you're going through.
Or has gone through it.
Or has
before.
gone through it, yeah. Or will go through it.
Which is the most, like, not, like, amazing thing, but, like, knowing that someone's gone through something that you've gone through and they've made it out the other side.
Kind of gives a little piece to it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm
and
not
also,
alone.
Yeah, I saw TikTok, and it was like, why do you feel like you're not going to make it to the season you're in right now? Because you've made it through every other bad season you've gone through. Like, every other season you've gone through, God has gotten you out of.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad. Like, you've gone from some really high seasons to some really low seasons. So if you're in a really low season, like, why do you think you're not going to get out of it? Because you always are. You always come out the other side better, with more wisdom, with the testimony from what you had just gone through. Like, typically closer to God. Because I don't really feel like you're going to come out of a bad season and go into a good season unless you've gotten closer to God.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
we talked about everything we talked about. This was a
Yeah.
good one.
It was a good one. It was very lighthearted, but also deep, but kind of goofy.
Yeah. So obviously at the end of everything we read the verse of the day and pray and all that fun jazz. So today's is actually in Matthew. Matthew 10. And this was actually said by God. It said, "Look, Matthew 10:16, okay? It says, "Look, I'm sending you out as sheep among wolves, so be as shrewd as snakes and harmless as doves."
Okay.
What you thinking? So shrewd. I know you probably don't know what shrewd means. And I don't really know what shrewd means either. Having or showing sharp powers of judgment, astute, piercingly cold.
I think, honestly, so can you read it again?
It says, "Look, I am sending you out as sheep among wolves. So be as shrewd as snakes and harmless as doves."
But when he says, "I'm sending you as sheep among wolves," he's sending pure people into a world full of negativity. He's sending us out to be the pureness in a world of negativity.
So let me put this into what we're talking about, right? So you can be that light within the darkness, being you're the light because you have Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and that darkness is high school. All the people that are wolves and that don't have Jesus as their Lord and Savior.
Mm-hmm. And then be as shrewd as a snake and as what is it?
Harmless as doves.
Harmless as dove. I'm thinking it's telling you have those boundaries, like as a snake, have the boundaries up, but don't harm people.
Yeah.
Don't cause harm onto people.
Yeah.
But protect yourself and keep your purity and keep your innocent heart and your innocent mind and your childlike faith, but don't hurt people by trying to be too pure. Because I feel like it's really common for people to be cut people off just completely and not show God's love because they think that they're doing what's right, but also we're called to be around people and share God's love in bad places.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I like that verse. Kind of ties in. It always ties in perfectly with what
it literally always does, and that's why I know that we're talking about something good, because if it ties back into it, I'm like, man, we really did something good.
All right, do you want to pray?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Dear Lord, I just want to thank you for the conversation that we had and just giving us the wisdom and the testimonies that we've gone through and the struggles that we've gone through. I just want to thank you for getting us out of the other side of those and to being able to share our stories and to maybe help someone through what we're doing. And I pray for whoever's watching this that if they are going through something, that they know that you're going to get them out on the other side and that they know and they fully trust you and they fully put their faith in you. And I pray that me and Mikey begin to fully put our trust and faith into you and know that you're going to do good in our lives, and whoever's watching this, that they know that they're good, that you're going to do good in their lives. And I just pray blessings over everyone, and amen.
Amen. Well, thank you for tuning in to a couple of Gen Z's podcasts. We really appreciate it. This will be our fourth episode. Fourth episode.
Sorry it's late. We're sorry it's
late.
Oh
yeah, I didn't even say that. Yeah, so it was late. My internet was the day we were filming was not being good, right? So we had to wait.
Bad.
Yeah, and we didn't have any other time because we were busy this weekend.
Yeah.
So this will be out on a Wednesday.
Yes.
And I'll make sure that gets out on a Wednesday, and we're all good. And then we will have that one next Sunday, and we'll get right back on track.
Yeah.
Right?
And it may happen a few times because we're busy high school students.
Yep.
But it's not always going to be on a Sunday, but
we're going to stay on track. I'm telling you. You'll have one a week. It might not be every Sunday, but you'll have one a week. I promise you that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much for all the support. And I will see y'all later.
Remember, you guys.
Jesus loves you. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.